woodshop can indeed be classified as a Class Roman III, Division 1 location. This classification, as defined by the National Electrical Code, or NEC, relates to environments where easily ignitable fibers or materials producing combustible flames are present. To understand this classification fully, it's crucial to break down each component of the designation. Firstly, the term class refers to the general nature of the hazardous material. In this case, Class Roman III locations are those where easily ignitable fibers or materials producing combustible flames are handled, manufactured, or used. These materials may not be suspended in the air in sufficient quantity to produce ignitable mixtures, but they are present in quantities large enough to pose a fire hazard. Secondly, the term division specifies the probability of the presence of the hazardous material. Division 1 indicates that the hazardous material is normally present in the air in sufficient quantities to produce an explosive or ignitable mixture, or that the material might become airborne due to normal operations, repair, maintenance, or leakage. Therefore, a Class Roman III Division 1 location is one where easily ignitable fibers or flames are present under normal operating conditions, or where mechanical failure or faulty operation could release ignitable concentrations of fibers or flames and also cause simultaneous failure of electrical equipment. In a woodshop, the operation of woodworking machinery such as saws, sanders, and routers generates sawdust and wood shavings. These materials are easily ignitable and can accumulate on surfaces, in the air, and within equipment. If these accumulations are substantial enough, they pose a significant fire hazard. The NEC provides specific guidelines for electrical equipment and wiring methods in Class Roman III, Division 1 locations. These guidelines aim to minimize the risk of ignition by preventing sparks, arcs, and excessive heat. One crucial requirement is the use of dust ignition-proof equipment. This equipment is designed to prevent the ingress of dust and to contain any sparks or arcs that may occur within the enclosure. Dust ignition-proof enclosures are constructed to prevent the entrance of dust in a manner that will not permit arcs, sparks, or heat otherwise generated or liberated inside the enclosure to cause ignition of exterior accumulations or atmospheric suspensions of a specified dust on or in the vicinity of the enclosure. The NEC also mandates specific wiring methods for Class Roman III, Division 1 locations. Wiring must be installed in a way that minimizes the accumulation of dust and prevents it from entering electrical enclosures. Conduit systems are typically sealed to prevent the ingress of dust, and special fittings are used to maintain the integrity of the enclosure. To ensure compliance with the NEC and to maintain a safe environment, woodshop should implement several measures. Firstly, regular cleaning and dust removal are essential. This includes vacuuming surfaces, cleaning equipment, and using dust collection systems to capture sawdust and wood shavings at the source. Secondly, proper ventilation is crucial. Adequate ventilation helps to remove airborne dust and prevent it from accumulating in the air. Thirdly, electrical equipment should be inspected and maintained regularly. This includes checking for loose connections, damaged wiring, and malfunctioning components. Fourthly, personnel should be trained on the hazards of combustible dust and the proper procedures for working in a Class Roman III, Division 1 location. This training should cover topics such as dust removal, equipment maintenance, and emergency response. Fifthly, a formal hazard assessment should be conducted to identify potential ignition sources and to evaluate the effectiveness of control measures. This assessment should consider factors such as the type and quantity of combustible dust, the ventilation system, and the electrical equipment. Now let's delve deeper into the specific requirements for electrical equipment in Class Roman III, Division 1 locations. As mentioned earlier, dust ignition-proof equipment is mandatory. The NEC specifies that equipment must be marked with the class and division for which it is approved. This marking indicates that the equipment has been tested and certified to meet the requirements for use in that specific hazardous location. In addition to dust ignition-proof enclosures, other protective measures may be required, such as intrinsically safe circuits or purged and pressurized enclosures. Intrinsically safe circuits are designed to limit the energy available in the circuit to a level that is too low to ignite a combustible mixture. Purged and pressurized enclosures are designed to maintain a positive pressure of clean air or inert gas inside the enclosure, preventing the ingress of dust and other hazardous materials. The selection of appropriate electrical equipment depends on several factors, including the type and quantity of combustible dust, the ambient temperature, and the operating conditions. It is essential to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector to ensure that the equipment is suitable for the specific application. Wiring methods in Class Roman III, Division 1 locations must also comply with specific requirements of the NEC. Conduit systems must be sealed to prevent the ingress of dust, and special fittings must be used to maintain the integrity of the enclosure. The NEC specifies the types of conduits and fittings that are permitted for use in Class Roman III, Division 1 locations. In addition to conduit systems, other wiring methods may be permitted, such as Type MI cable or Type TC cable, provided that they are installed in accordance with the NEC. Wiring must be supported and protected from physical damage. The NEC provides guidelines for supporting and protecting wiring in hazardous locations. Proper grounding and bonding are also essential for electrical safety in Class Roman III, Division 1 locations. Grounding and bonding help to prevent the accumulation of static electricity, which can be a source of ignition. The NEC specifies the requirements for grounding and bonding in hazardous locations. In addition to the NEC, other standards and regulations may apply to Woodshops and other Class Roman III, Division 1 locations. The National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, publishes several standards that provide guidance on fire safety in hazardous locations. These standards cover topics such as dust collection, ventilation, and explosion protection. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, also has regulations that address the hazards of combustible dust in the workplace. These regulations require employers to assess the hazards of combustible dust, implement control measures, and train employees on the proper procedures for working in areas where combustible dust is present. To ensure compliance with all applicable standards and regulations, Woodshop should develop and implement a comprehensive safety program. This program should include procedures for dust removal, equipment maintenance, electrical safety, and emergency response. The program should be reviewed and updated regularly to reflect changes in the workplace and in the applicable standards and regulations. Furthermore, the design and installation of electrical systems in Class Roman III, Division 1 locations should be performed by qualified professionals who are familiar with the NEC and other applicable standards. These professionals can help to ensure that the electrical system is safe and compliant with all applicable requirements. It's important to note that the classification of a location as Class Roman III, Division 1 is not always straightforward. A qualified professional should assess the specific conditions of the location to determine the appropriate classification. This assessment should consider factors such as the type and quantity of combustible dust, the ventilation system, and the operating conditions. In some cases, it may be possible to reduce the classification of a location by implementing additional control measures. For example, improving ventilation or installing a dust collection system may reduce the concentration of airborne dust to a level that is below the threshold for a Class Roman III, Division 1 location. However, any changes to the control measures should be carefully evaluated to ensure that they are effective in preventing the accumulation of combustible dust. In summary, a woodshop can indeed be classified as a Class Roman III, Division 1 location due to the presence of easily ignitable fibers and flyings. To ensure safety and compliance with the NEC, woodshops must implement several measures, including the use of dust ignition-proof equipment, proper wiring methods, regular cleaning and dust removal, adequate ventilation, and comprehensive training. It's important to consult with qualified professionals to ensure that the electrical system is safe and compliant with all applicable requirements. By taking these steps, woodshops can minimize the risk of fire and explosion and create a safe working environment for their employees. The correct application of NEC Article 500.5c is important to prevent fires and explosions. Understanding the area classification is not just about adhering to regulations, it's about protecting lives and property. The NEC provides the framework, but the implementation requires diligence and expertise. Firstly, understand the properties of the specific dust present, including its minimum ignition temperature and minimum explosive concentration. This information is critical for selecting appropriate equipment and implementing effective control measures. Secondly, implement a comprehensive dust control program that includes regular cleaning, dust collection, and ventilation. The goal is to prevent the accumulation of dust in areas where it could pose a fire or explosion hazard. Thirdly, ensure that all electrical equipment is properly selected, installed, and maintained. This includes using dust ignition-proof equipment, sealing conduit systems, and regularly inspecting wiring and connections. Fourthly, train employees on the hazards of combustible dust and the proper procedures for working in a Class Roman III, Division 1 location. This training should cover topics such as dust removal, equipment maintenance, electrical safety, and emergency response. Fifthly, conduct regular hazard assessments to identify potential ignition sources and evaluate the effectiveness of control measures. This assessment should consider factors such as the type and quantity of combustible dust, the ventilation system, and the electrical equipment. Sixthly, develop and implement an emergency response plan that includes procedures for evacuating the building, extinguishing fires, and providing medical assistance. The plan should be regularly reviewed and updated to ensure that it is effective in the event of an emergency. Seventhly, maintain accurate records of all inspections, maintenance, and training activities. These records can be used to demonstrate compliance with applicable standards and regulations. Eighthly, consult with qualified professionals such as electrical engineers and safety consultants to ensure that the electrical system and dust control program are properly designed and implemented. These professionals can provide valuable expertise and guidance on the requirements for Class Roman III, Division 1 locations. Ninthly, stay up to date on the latest standards and regulations related to combustible dust. The NEC, NFPA, and OSHA are constantly updating their standards to reflect new technologies and best practices. Tenthly, foster a culture of safety in the workplace. This includes encouraging employees to report hazards, participating in safety training, and following safety procedures. A strong safety culture can help to prevent accidents and injuries. Proper labeling of equipment and areas is crucial for maintaining safety in Class Roman III, Division 1 locations. All electrical equipment should be clearly labeled with the class and division for which it is approved. This labeling helps to ensure that the equipment is used in the correct environment and that it is properly maintained. In addition to equipment labeling, areas that are classified as Class Roman III, Division 1 should be clearly marked with warning signs. These signs should indicate the presence of combustible dust and the potential for fire and explosion. The signs should also provide instructions on the proper procedures for working in the area. Regular inspections of electrical equipment are essential for preventing accidents and injuries. These inspections should be performed by qualified personnel who are familiar with the NEC and other applicable standards. The inspection should include a visual examination of the equipment, as well as testing of its electrical performance. Any defects or deficiencies that are identified during the inspection should be corrected immediately. Maintenance of electrical equipment is also crucial for maintaining safety in Class Roman III, Division 1 locations. This maintenance should include regular cleaning, lubrication, and replacement of worn or damaged parts. The maintenance should be performed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and the NEC. Proper housekeeping is essential for preventing the accumulation of combustible dust. This housekeeping should include regular cleaning of surfaces, equipment, and ventilation systems. The cleaning should be performed using methods that minimize the generation of airborne dust. For example, vacuuming is preferable to sweeping. The use of compressed air for cleaning should be avoided, as it can create a dust cloud. Controlling ignition sources is also crucial for preventing fires and explosions. This control should include measures to prevent sparks, arcs, and excessive heat. For example, smoking should be prohibited in areas where combustible dust is present. Hot work, such as welding and cutting, should be performed only after a thorough hazard assessment and with appropriate precautions. Static electricity can also be a source of ignition. Measures to prevent the accumulation of static electricity should be implemented, such as grounding and bonding of equipment. In addition to these measures, other factors can contribute to a safer woodshop environment. For instance, proper storage of flammable materials is essential. Flammable liquids and other flammable materials should be stored in approved containers and in a designated area. The area should be well ventilated and protected from ignition sources. Furthermore, fire suppression systems can provide an additional layer of protection in the event of a fire. These systems can include automatic sprinklers, fire extinguishers, and other fire suppression equipment. The type and location of fire suppression systems should be determined based on a thorough hazard assessment. Regular fire drills can help to ensure that employees are prepared to respond effectively in the event of a fire. These drills should be conducted at least annually and should include procedures for evacuating the building, using fire extinguishers, and contacting emergency services. In conclusion, classifying a woodshop as a Class Roman III, Division 1 location necessitates a comprehensive approach to safety. It involves understanding the properties of combustible dust, implementing effective dust control measures, ensuring proper electrical equipment and wiring methods, training employees, and conducting regular hazard assessments. By adhering to the NEC, NFPA, and OSHA standards, and by fostering a culture of safety in the workplace, woodshops can minimize the risk of fire and explosion and create a safe working environment for their employees.